I'm Amanda Merritt, Director of Girl Program here at Girl Scouts Heart of the South. Thanks so much for joining me for today's Stand Beside Her activity. Today, we will be exploring how we can all shine and encourage friendship in a fun way. We will be making Amish friendship bread, which, if you haven't heard of, it is a sweet sourdough bread that is a delicious snack or a good breakfast. And to make it, you have to begin with a starter bag. And this starter bag will take 10 days to get ready before you can even use it to bake your bread. This friendship bread, there are quite a few steps to it, but the payoff is so sweet, and it's a great way to share and spread friendship. Let's get started. First things first, print off the cards from the Stand Beside Her patch program and cut them out so you will have 2 individual cards. Then we are going to tape the starter instructions onto a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. You're going to want to use tape so those instructions are always handy. And then we are going to add some active dry yeast to some warm water. Once it's sitting, we're going to add 1 cup flour to 1 cup sugar, mix it up, and there's our yeast mixture. See how it's all nice and bubbly and activated. So then we're going to add 1 cup milk to our dry ingredients and mix that in. And then we're going to add our yeast mixture next and make sure that it's all nice and mixed together. This is going to make our starter, and it's really important to note to not use any metal in this process. Notice I'm using silicone and wooden spoons and a glass bowl. So after you let that mixture sit for 5 minutes, you're going to pour it into your gallon-sized Ziploc bag for your starter. When you go to seal it up, make sure you get all the air out of it. Try to squeeze it out, and there we go. That's day 1. So here we are, day 2. You are just going to mash your bag, and you will need to let some air out. You'll notice that as it bubbles and ferments, your bag will kind of get inflated. So each day you will have to let that air out and mash it up. So just follow the instructions for days 1 through 5 of mashing and letting it sit on your counter. Make sure to not refrigerate it or anything, just leave it out. So on day 5, we need to feed our yeast mixture. So we're gonna add 1 cup each of milk, flour, and sugar to our bag, and then we're gonna mix it up. And then it's just gonna continue to sit for 5 more days with you mashing in between. This sourdough starter bag is so fun to see it do its work on the counter. Every day when you open up that bag to let the air out and mush it around, you'll feel the texture is a little bit different. You'll smell that sourness out of the bag. It'll smell kind of fermented and yucky, but it'll taste really good in the end. Every day you just want to keep mashing it and keep marking what day it is. You don't want to lose track. So day 9 is actually the last day on the counter, and then once we get to day 10, it's baking day. So when your starter bag is on day 10 and it's ready to bake, it's the bread that never ends because you will keep dividing out this starter, which has yeast in it. This is what will make our bread rise and make it that sourdough. So you'll divide this out. We'll actually only need a cup of it to bake our first batch of bread. And then you'll use a cup, and you'll put the other 3 to 4 cups into separate Ziploc bags to then share. And you'll include a copy of your instructions and your recipe card. Of course, you'll have some instructions taped to the bag, and you can give out the starter recipe, and then in 10 days, your friends will be able to then share their starter bag and bake a loaf. So it's a bread that kind of goes down a chain of sharing with your friends. Here we are on day 10. It is baking day. So we are going to pour all of our starter into a plastic bowl, and then we are going to add a 1/2 cup each of milk, sugar, and flour, and we're gonna mix that up really well. And then once that is all mixed up, we're gonna wanna divide it into 1 cup portions. Now, I was able to get 5 portions out of it, so that's 1 cup in the bowl for me and 4 bags for me to give to friends. And then you can share this yummy sweet snack with the important women in your life, like neighbors, teachers, friends, or coaches. And you can even use the back of your recipe card to write an encouraging note to your recipient to brighten their day. This is such a fun recipe to make and to have around your house as a reminder of your sweet friend. So once you have your sweet notes written on each recipe card, you can just attach it to your starter bags to keep them together, and then you can give them out to the friends or other women in your life. Then we're going to mix in some sugar and some cinnamon to make some cinnamon sugar. We'll use that later. Then we have our cup of starter. We're gonna add all of our dry ingredients, so flour, salt, baking soda, baking powder, and some cinnamon. And then you're going to also add 2 boxes of vanilla instant pudding. Then we're going to add some nuts. That is optional. If you have a nut allergy, you can completely skip it. Then we're gonna add in our wet ingredients. So we have oil, milk, vanilla, eggs, or if you are vegan or don't use eggs, you can use applesauce, which is actually what I did. You use 1/4 cup of applesauce per 1 egg. So for this recipe, it was 3/4 cup applesauce. Then we're going to take our loaf pan, spray it, coat it with our cinnamon sugar, and go ahead and pour your batter in to get it ready to bake. I probably could have made 2 loaves out of this batch, but I forced it into one to make one really big loaf. It's completely up to you. Once you have it in your pan, we're going to top it with some additional cinnamon sugar, and then it's gonna go into the oven and bake. Mine took about 1.5 hours to bake because it was so thick. This will vary depending on your oven. You also may have to put some foil on top if it's brownie around the edges like mine did. But just bake it until it's done in the center, and there you have a yummy loaf of friendship bread. Thanks so much for joining me today and for choosing to stand beside her. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and are looking forward to making and sharing some friendship bread with all the amazing women in your lives.